Lash Story. I did post this on my Instagram a little while back, not too long ago, but I couldn't save it on my Instagram, and I'm really sorry about the lighting and how wobbly the screen might get, but you know, it's just a little recap and something where I can save it so people can go back to watch it, and people who've not seen it can watch it. Yeah, so I started lashing at it's either the beginning of September or beginning of August in 2018. So it's just been over a year now. And so what got me into it? I've never been a girly girl. I rarely do my makeup these days. Never used to really have my lashes done. Never really had my nails done, only for special occasions. But one of my best friends, oh my gosh, excuse this lighting, one of my really good friends, best friend probably ever, she was getting her lashes done religiously, going out for infills, blah blah blah, and she was travelling all the way up to I live in Stoke, well she lives in Stoke as well, Stoke, Cheshire, but she was travelling all the way to the other side of Stoke just to get her lashes done, which was quite far. It was like a 45-minute drive from where we lived, every 2 weeks, and that was just fascinating to me. I was like, what the hell, like, why'd you go so far away? And she was like, well, there's no one really around here that does it. And there was a girl as well who was like literally the lash queen of this area. So at the time when I did my course, there was only two other people that I knew of personally, and I think a lot of people know of as the original two in Stoke that were doing lashes. And where I lived at the time, I only lived like up the road, like the next town up now, because I moved back in with my dad, but where I was at, the town that I was in, there was no one doing lashes like as an individual. The salons would do them, but the salons would charge like £80, so I think I just kind of saw a little bit of a gap, I don't know, like an idea. So I had a little look into it, and obviously you need to do classic course. Classics were the only thing that were around back then, if I'm entirely honest. Russians have only really just started to blow up and become a big thing. So I did some research and booked on last minute to a course with a company called I think it's the Beauty Academy, and I went up to Manchester on a day course to go and do it. I think I paid like around 150 to 200. I did get mine a little bit cheaper because it was a last minute deal. So I went up, did my course. I'm not gonna lie, girls, it was not the best course. It really wasn't. They literally just showed me how to put an eyelash, an extension onto a strip eyelash, which is not realistic at all. They didn't teach me how to do infills, which now looking back on it is absolutely wild. Like, infills as a lash tech is 80% of your job. People don't come back for fresh sets every single time. People come back for infills on a regular basis every 2 to 3 weeks. So yeah, it was very, very bog standard. I don't know, it's difficult because obviously that's how I started, so there's nothing wrong with other people doing it, but just personally from my experience, I don't know if I'd kind of recommend a big company like that to people who are wanting to do it, just purely because they really didn't teach me a lot. The lady that did the course clearly wasn't a lash tech herself. She was obviously just reading off a manual or whatever, training us. So it wasn't the best, it wasn't very realistic. We sent away with a very, very basic training manual. Now I'm a qualified teacher and educator. Obviously I've had to create my own manuals and send them off to get accredited, which they are now. And my manuals, on comparison to the one that they gave me on the day, it's like a whole nother world. I really don't know how that course was like a prim and proper thing, if I'm honest, because it really wasn't the best. We we taught the very basics. So yeah, I did my course, come home really not knowing what the hell I was doing, because I wasn't shown on a live person, because obviously what you will get to know if you're new lash tech, or if you don't know already, everyone's natural lashes are so different, and most people's natural lashes crisscross over, whereas these strip lashes that we were taught on this mannequin's head was straight and like so easy to isolate, but it was just so different. So I went home, I think I did one of my really good friends at the time's lashes at her house, and it literally took me like 4 hours, and they looked not the best, because obviously I was very starting out. So yeah, that's kind of how it all began really. I did my course, and just began getting models in really, because I did it around, well, coming up to Christmas. Christmas is a really busy time for lash techs and anyone really in the beauty industry, and I think if you are going to get qualified before Christmas or around Christmas, because that's the best time, because that's when you're going to build up your client base the most. So I had like introductory offers on at the beginning. I got my own portable, it was huge, lash bed, and I was doing mobile appointments. I was working a lot really, because at the time when I qualified, I was working full time in a call centre, 8 until 5 p.m. Monday to Friday. So I would go to work and then try and fit one person in the evenings, and then obviously on the weekend. And I was working really long hours to begin with, and then I would have carried on working full time at the place where I was at, but it just wasn't a very good workplace. It was a call centre. I had some really big issues with a girl that was working there as well. She was just basically bullying me, and actually harassing me. Like, it was actually really bad. Now I reflect and look back on it, it was really awful. I was having a really bad time. She was making my life hell inside and outside of work. It was just awful. Like, I would never wish that experience on anyone. You should never make someone feel so terrible about themselves. It's a really long story and I really don't want to get into it, but yeah, no, this one girl was really awful to me inside and outside of work. And it just kind of got to the point where I tried to put in formal complaints with my work about her, because she was literally making me ill. I remember going to the doctor because I thought I had really bad heartburn at the time. I had like really bad heartburn. I was chewing down these runnies at work, like, what the hell? Why have I got such bad heartburn? Like, it was all day constant. So I went to the doctors like after about a week and a half of it, because it literally wasn't going, and the doctor was like, it's not heartburn, you've got anxiety. And that was kind of when it made me realise, like, right, something really needs to be done about this, because this isn't right, it's not fair. Tried to put in complaints with work, it was basically ignored. It just wasn't a very good workplace, if I'm honest. So I took the decision, well, basically, because of all this stress and anxiety that this girl was causing, I actually got signed off work sick for like a month and a half, 2 months, because it was really bad. I don't want to go into it, but it was really bad. It was horrible, and it was really like getting me really depressed. Like, I didn't want to get out of bed in the morning or anything like that. And I just thought, right, this has got to stop now, because it will just get to the point where I don't know what's going to happen. I'll probably get fired from my job, because obviously I'm off on sick, which I don't think they could do, because I was off sick with work-related stress. But yeah, it wasn't great, so I decided to quit there. And I actually, it was like such a blessing. I actually got a part-time job at Costa Coffee across the road from my flat that I was living in. So when I passed my course, I was living with my dad, and then I actually got a 2-bedroom flat on the basis that with my landlord, because doing mobile wasn't really working for me anymore, because the lugging of my bed around, this bed was huge. It wasn't a poor, well, it was, but for a 5-foot person it's not a portable bed. It was really difficult. I found when I was going to people's houses, you know, I'd turn up and they'd expect me to look after like 6-month-old babies like myself, as well as trying to do lashes. It just wasn't working. I didn't enjoy doing mobile, so I got a 2-bedroom flat on the basis that I could use the 2nd bedroom as a lash room, which was agreed with the landlord when I took my lease out, and it was just me living there. So when I was living there, that's when I was off sick, and I quit my job, and I was really in a rut because obviously I've got my mum down one ear and everyone else being like, well, Ruth, what are you going to do? You've got a 2-bedroom flat to pay for, like, where the area that like I live in, it's not cheap, like, at all. It's actually quite expensive to live in compared to other like cities in the area. So yeah, I was kind of thrown in the deep end, and I thought, right, and I literally went into Costa on the odd chance, like, have you got any jobs? Or I think my mum might have like sent it to me, and I went in and I got the job, and I was so happy. It was kind of part-time, near enough full-time. It was probably, I'd say, between like 25 to 30 hours a week that I was actually doing. I was only contracted part-time, but I was doing a little bit more, which I didn't mind because I loved working there. The team were amazing. And my hours actually fitted in really well around my lashing, because this Costa coffee was literally, I can't even describe, it was a 30-second walk from my flat across the road. You could literally see it from my house, and you could see the block of flats that I lived in from this Costa coffee. So it was brilliant. And what my boss and how my shifts worked really was, I would do the opens most of the time, so at 6 o'clock in the morning until like 12 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So that worked perfect, because I'd get up in the morning, do my work, and then I would be able to do my lashes in the afternoon and the evening. And it was just amazing. I really, really enjoyed working at Costa. I really did. I can't fault the team or anyone that works there. Everyone needs to go in Costa Coffee and All Sage and just buy everything and give them all loads of tips. So I was at Costa, and then I was building myself up, and I was only really getting busier and busier, and it did kind of just get to the point where I was earning minimum wage at Costa. Oh, the lighting's gone really off. Well, it's gone dark outside, that's what it's gone. I was earning minimum wage at Costa, and it kind of got to the point with my lashes where I would have been better off quitting Costa altogether and just focusing on my lashes full time. Financially, that would work better for me, because it did get to the point where my hours were restricting my time with my clients that new clients wanted to book in. It just financially wasn't working for me anymore. So I sat down, did all my figures, and I thought, right, I think now's the right time to just quit everything else and just focus on lashes. So that's exactly what I did. I was probably I can't remember the dates and stuff, but I was probably about 8 months into lashing by then. And I just think, like, the main thing with lashes is you have to promote yourself. You've got to be on like social medias and stuff like that. You've got to. And obviously when you first start off, offer introductory prices. So after Costa, I was obviously working full time from my flat, loving life, and just like a few months down the line, because I was working from home and the way that my flat was situated, which was the reason I got it, was the bedrooms were right by the front door. So I had my bedroom and then the spare bedroom, which was my beauty room, and that worked really, really well. But it kind of got to a point where I would not leave the house for like a week and a half, 2 weeks, because of how busy I was with my lashing. Oh my god, there's a huge lorry next to me. Okay, I'll fall back. Sorry, I'm driving as well. Yeah, so with the way that my flat was situated, it did get really difficult, especially towards winter and the dark nights, because I found myself waking up in the morning, literally going straight just across my hall, straight into my beauty room and literally not finishing until it was dark when I woke up, and it was dark when I went back to turn this on, that's a bit better. Yeah, it was dark when I woke up and it was dark when I went to bed, and it just kind of got to the point where it was a little bit unhealthy. As well, I kind of did stop enjoying working from home, just because it's really difficult to separate your workplace from your home, from work life, from personal life, obviously, especially with your work literally being the room next to your bedroom. It was very, very difficult. It kind of became a little bit of an issue with clients arriving early, because I've always had set out in my policies not to arrive any more than 5 minutes. Obviously, with the way that the flat was situated, it had a gated entrance, and you would have to press the telecom to be let up and come up. And obviously, if you're arriving 15-20 minutes early, that's cutting into time with another client's appointment, which isn't really fair. And as well, it's cutting into another client's appointment as well. Is what I found is some, even though they've been told like don't arrive any earlier than 5 minutes, some people would, and they would literally hold the telecom. Oh my god, there's a huge pothole. They would literally hold the telecom like constantly until I answered, and obviously the telecom for me was right by my front door, so that meant me having to get up from the client that I was with, go and answer the telecom. So it was just precious time that I was losing, and it really wasn't fair on me or my clients. I get that people want to arrive early and don't want to be late, but obviously it's really difficult in that position, because I can't exactly have people waiting right like in my house, because there was nowhere for them to wait either. God. And yeah, and then there was issues as well with some people wanting to bring additional guests. I mean, even now I have my policy where you can't bring additional guests because there's nowhere for them to sit, but especially like in my house, there was nowhere for anyone to sit. There was no extra room, and it just safety for myself, to be honest, because I didn't want other people sitting in my house when I was trying to concentrate, because I wouldn't have been able to concentrate. Wow, it's gone really dark outside now. Yeah, so I didn't want other people, so I took the decision, and I wanted to save some money, to be honest, because obviously when you live in by yourself, I think at the time 19, 20, obviously I've only just turned 21. At the time I was still quite young, and I just kind of took the decision to move back to my dad's house. Thank God for my dad for taking me back so many times. And then obviously I was in the position then of, well, what do I do, because I don't want to go back to mobile. So that's when I got a beauty room in Sandbach, my dad's local town. And so the beauty room there, they only had available certain days of the week, which was fine, but I did want something where I could work more days. So obviously that's the idea of moving back in with my dad and quitting my full-time job, because I had more and more clients. So I was at the Sandbach Town, and I was quite happy there, to be honest, for quite a while. I did lose a few of my All-Sager clients, because that's where I lived, because a few of them were 16, 17. Obviously some of them couldn't drive, and Sandbach, it's not too far away from All-Sager, but when you're relying on someone else to have a lift with, it can become an issue. So I did lose a few clients, but it didn't really make a difference, to be honest. So yeah, I was at the Sandbach salon. It was okay though, I did enjoy it. It was a little bit, with me, when I am working and when I'm with a client, and I'll always say to my clients, I'm not being rude, I just find it really difficult to concentrate if I'm there chatting away with my client while I'm trying to do the lashes. So I always say to my clients, like, I'm really not being rude, but I'm not going to speak while I'm doing them, and that is fine with my clients. They're more than happy for that, because they just want me to do my best practice, and I do my best practice when I'm concentrating and not speaking. Obviously, I have a little convo with them. I won't be deadly silent. But yeah, no, so it was a room that I'd actually rent at the Sandmatch salon. And it just, like, the decor was very dark compared to my old my salon now, and my old beauty room and my old flat. It was very fresh, very bright, just refreshing. So that was one thing that I didn't particularly like, but it was a room at the end of the day. It was a bed for my clients to come and lie on. It didn't really make a difference to my clients. But yeah, so I did actually look into other rooms to rent, other beds to rent, because obviously it was restricted with the Sandmatch salon. So I actually saw a salon in Newcastle called Preen Beauty House. I cannot fault the girls there. They are so nice, so lovely. Shelley, the owner, just absolutely gorgeous girls, if I'm honest, because in the Sandmatch salon, it was very cliquey. There was only a few girls that worked there. But it just wasn't the welcoming vibe that I had from Preen at all. The other girls at the Sandmatch salon, they would pull each other into rooms, whisper and giggle to each other. Just not like inviting. Whereas Preen, the second I walked in, everyone's like, "Oh, are you okay? You having a good day?" Just nice, genuinely nice girls that are interested in you. So I went for a trial run at Preen, and I loved it. And then I had a week at my Sandmatch salon, and that week, the thing is with Preen, the bed was available 6 days a week, so obviously I wouldn't have, it's not restricted days like the Sandmatch one. So I went back to the Sandmatch one, and my initial idea was to just rent a bed at Preen on the days that I couldn't rent the Sandmatch one. But I kind of went back, had a week back at the Sandmatch one, and it just did really make me realise how cliquey it was then, how kind of miserable I was in a way, because a lot of the time as well, towards the end of my time there, I would literally be the only one in the salon all day, and I didn't work for them. I wasn't earning them money. I was just paying the rent for the room, £25 a day. Obviously I was doing a couple of days a week, so you know, it's just bizarre. And even my clients would make comments like, "Is there no one else in other than you?" So yeah, it just made me realise that week back in Sandmatch that actually I would actually prefer to work full time somewhere with girls that are lovely and welcoming, and somewhere where my clients would actually enjoy like the aesthetics of and enjoy going and being there. So I messaged my Sandmatch salon and just said, "Hi, I've really enjoyed you know, working here, but as of next week I won't be needing the room anymore." And things just turned a little bit sour, I'm not gonna lie. They messaged back like, "You need to come and get your stuff right now." But I'd already paid for the next, like I think it was the next day or the day after the next, rent, and I had clients booked in, like a full day of clients, and they were basically like, "You need to come get your stuff right now, otherwise we'll put it out like on the street or whatever, we'll put it outside." It was just very bizarre to me, because there'd never really been any like tension or anything like that between me or the girls in the salon. Nothing. I've literally sent them a message saying I'm not going to be needing the room anymore, and when I started renting there, they never said anything about notice or anything like. I mean, I'd given them a week's notice. It's not as if I was right, I'm not renting anymore, I'm not doing it, blah blah blah. It was just very bizarre to me. So it was a bit of a kerfuffle. I had to cancel like a full day's worth of clients, so obviously it lost me out on money, and it like I had to move and rearrange clients, cancel clients. So anyway, I ended up at Preen, and I am so glad I made that decision, because my time at Preen has been nothing but enjoyable. It has really given me a different view onto beauty salons and lash techs. They're just all so gorgeous there, like honestly. Like, even there I was still very quiet, because the thing is with me is my days do get really busy, and I try and allow myself a break, but half the time if people are running late, and if I'm like a perfectionist, so I'll spend a little bit extra time, so half the time I wasn't getting any breaks, and when I was on my break, that was really the only time to like socialise and stuff. But I wasn't at Preen for a very long time. That's just because, on to the next chapter. My end goal has always been to have my own lash lounge, just for lash techs, and become a qualified trainer. So I'm always, to be honest, I'm always looking at like houses on Rightmove, and I was looking at shops. I'm just nosy. So I was looking, and I just stumbled across one on the same street that my stepdad has a vape shop, and it was on the same street, so obviously I knew the street quite well. And I was just at my mum's, I think, that night, and I was like, oh mum, look at this shop, it's come up. And she was like, oh my god, let's go make a booking, let's view it. And I wasn't really thinking anything like that, to be honest. I was just like, oh, imagine. So we made a booking, and then I ended up really liking it, liking the idea. I managed to get like all my finances in plan, put a plan together, 12-month action plan, and I got my keys on the 18th of October. I was quite apprehensive about leaving Preen, because honestly, like, I really don't have a bad word to say about them at all, and if I get overbooked, I would always recommend the lash techs there, because they are amazing, absolutely amazing. But I think it was just the next chapter for me. I've wanted to do this, and with my finances, it come out exactly near enough roughly the same with my parking, so I was paying £7 a day parking there. So with all my finances kind of drawn back and looked at, it worked out financially. Oh dear. There we go. It worked out financially roughly the same for me, so it kind of was a no-brainer. Just before I got my keys, I actually applied, and now I'm a qualified educator and trainer for lashes. So I offer individual, classic, eyelash extension courses, brushing courses, and one-to-one mentoring. So I just kind of feel like everything's falling into place. So I got my keys on the 18th of October. I wanted to open for the first week of November, but that was very brave of me to think. I actually had my open night on the 9th of November, so it was last Saturday. When the salon wasn't in bad condition, I probably have some pictures somewhere. They had wallpaper, but I stripped the wallpaper from the salon, and underneath the walls were in really, really bad condition. My mum was like, you can't paint them, you're gonna have to wallpaper them, and I didn't want wallpaper. I just wanted fresh white walls, because I just think that's really aesthetically pleasing, and then you can dress like the room how you want with decorations. So I stripped the walls. The walls were in terrible condition. I did have a decorator out to come and quote me for doing it. It was like £120 for the day, but they couldn't actually get me in until middle of November, which was no good really for me. I think the reason I've got it done so quick is, while I've been doing my salon up, I'm having to pay rent for my salon, my lash lounge, as well as obviously paying my rent for Preen. So it's just better financially for me to get in ASAP. So I was like, right, no, I'm just gonna have to do it myself. So I bought sandpaper, sanded down the walls, painted them, luckily with the help of like my brother and their partners, my mum and stuff. been a challenge. I don't really know how I've kept saying these past few weeks, if I'm entirely honest. You know, doing my training, educator's diploma, having to send off all my paperwork to be accredited, opening my own lash lounge. Yeah, it's just been a lot. I've been running around like a headless chicken as well as working like full time. But here we are. I have my own salon. It hasn't been an easy process at all, and I am still like such a baby to the lash industry. There's lash techs out there that have been doing it for years, and I just think like it's such an amazing skill and thing to have. Like I still can't believe that I have made a living and I'm making a living using my hands. It's just wild. But yeah, so obviously I have next steps that I want to do. There's bigger things that I've got planned in here, but I need to take it one step at a time. So yeah, my next thing really is my training. So my training courses begin in December. Like I said, I'm offering classic lashes and Russian lashes. My advice to people that do want to become lash techs or are interested is don't try and run before you can walk. Take it step by step. You know, things will come when they need to come. You don't need to be rushing anything. At the end of the day, you can't rush a skill that needs to be perfected. I'm still not perfect with my work. There's still people that are way better than me out there. And I'm just really excited for the future. So if you are an aspiring lash tech and do want to do a course to get qualified, I do offer the courses obviously locally in Stoke-on-Trent, but there are other courses, like I said, that you can go out. My advice would be though is if you are an aspiring lash tech, do your research into the course that you are going to be going on. You can go on big company courses like I did, and do a day in Manchester, but what I would say on that is that I really wasn't taught what I should have been taught, and I don't know if that's big companies, I really don't know. I personally think that if you do have a lash tech trainer, not just here, there's probably other lash tech trainers like out there, I would personally say try and get your training done through someone that has been a tech themselves, because you are only going to get the best like training from them. We've been through it, we've been through the ups and the downs, and we've started from beginners to where we are now. And I just think you are going to get your best value for money out of doing it with someone who's done it themselves and who does do it themselves, rather than a company that's trained someone who doesn't have a clue, that's reading off a script. And then, what else would I say? I'd say Russians are a huge, huge thing recently. When I began to do a lash tech, I didn't know what Russians were. They've only really started to blow up quite recently. Again, don't try and run before you can walk. I would say to perfect your classics before you go on to do Russians. I know that there are companies out there that do classic and Russian courses in one day, which fair play if you can, but I personally, in my opinion, don't understand how you can learn the basic skill and an advanced skill all in one day. I don't know how you can do it. It took me 6 months to get comfortable and confident with classics before I even went on to try and do Russians. So it's just very bizarre to me how someone can go from being completely new to the industry to supposedly knowing the skills of an advanced technique all in one day. Obviously it takes practice, but yeah, that's all I can say really. I'll probably be doing more videos on like my training days. I'm thinking of doing like a what's in my trolley for lash techs that are interested. I mean, I don't know who's going to watch this, I don't know who's interested. Like I said, I did a story on my Instagram and quite a few people watched that and were interested, but I never got around to saving it. I didn't know how to save it, so obviously this I'll be able to put on there and then you can go back and watch it. But yeah, that's where I am now.